Let's go ahead and just talk a little bit about UCLA TJ Lateef. And I think you got some. Do you have some numbers pulled up on UCLA?
I do. I was able to scrounge up as much information I could in about 10 minutes because I just got home from work. So
Brian's struggle busing it.
dude, I'm grinding today. I've been up since 4:55 a.m. to be technical.
Man.
I max that alarm clock like 4:56 if I have to. That extra minute,
Oh, 100%. But we'll and then we'll kind of break down what this, offense will probably look like with TJ Lateef. But go ahead and give me a little bit of UCLA numbers.
So this is a big game for Nebraska's rush defense because UCLA does not actually run the ball at a fairly consistent rate. Now, Nico Amaliva, or however the hell you say his name, can run the ball, and I think they are. That's why these numbers, yes, they're not great, but I think they're a little skewed, obviously, because since they've changed coaches and all this crap, their offense has shifted a little bit. But overall, their run success rate is below 39%. They average only 3.65 yards per carry. Their explosion rate is a whopping 8%, which is absolutely terrible. Which to me is partially is a running back issue, probably, but also it's an offensive line issue. They don't have a great offensive line.
Not much identity either. Not much offensive identity either.
Yeah, they're a confusing team right now. But even like from an offensive passing perspective, their yards per attempt is 7.72, which is similar to Nebraska's. It's not great, but it's okay. They have a better explosion rate at almost 17%. Their success rate is much better at 50%. So they're fairly decent passing the ball, which, as we all know at this point, Nebraska's pass defense is elite. It's the best in the country. So that part doesn't really worry me. Even though they're not great running the ball, it still worries me because we haven't been able to stop teams that aren't great at running the ball. And we haven't even, played many teams that are bad at running the ball, to be honest with you. And then another thing, too, Nebraska's strength from an offense perspective is our rushing attack. But UCLA's rushing defense is actually fairly good. They're giving up less than 100 yards per game, which is like top 15 in the country, if I'm not mistaken. So this is going to be a very unique matchup for Nebraska. Also, with the addition of TJ Lateef at quarterback now, just what does this offense look like with a full week of prep with him at QB1? That's probably what you'll know more how to answer than I, because I think Nebraska's offense is not going to look even remotely close.
I think, hold on. Okay, I echoed for just like a half second. I was like, don't you do this already, StreamYard. But what I think is going to happen, we're going to see the similarities that we are going to see is kind of like what we've talked about all season, getting your quarterback into a rhythm. And that is paramount in this game more than anything. But before TJ Lateef committed, I might have dropped the video, but I did the film review it was one of the first recruit film reviews I did on the channel. I think Cortez Mills might have been the first one. I can't remember. No, I think it was Lateef because I think Lateef was first. Yeah, not off the top of my head, I can't remember. But one of the things that he does well is he can throw in high school on his high school film. The man can laser the ball in there with touch, but he can also do that moving the pocket. So that's something he has a lot of experience of. And what I think might be what they want to do is take a lot of what he was good at coming into college and kind of amplify that. So I think we can learn a lot from his high school film on what kind of are the high percentage plays for him in this game. And I think for him, that's going to be, of course, this offensive line is going to be a little bit more stressed because it's a different style of quarterback. But it actually may take some of the pressure off of them with a moving pocket and a quarterback that can roll the pocket. Now, at the same time, we do have to understand that the line is going to take a little bit of a adjustment period because then now they have to really be a lot quicker with kind of how they get out and around. But I think what they're going to do is similar to what I talked about before, where they're just going to run a lot of the high percentage plays that have been high percentage with him in practice. And coaches keep tally this. In practice, they keep tally of the percentages of this play is successful this amount of times. With this quarterback, this play is successful this amount of times. And they're going to take the best of those plays and they're going to implement those into the game. And we are going to see a lot of quarterback runs and we are going to see a lot of, because the thing about it is there were a couple instances where if TJ may have made his first read, it could have been a bad one, because they're going to be ready to pick that ball off. Like their DBs might be aggressive coming out early in this game because they're going to want to test him and make him uncomfortable and make him throw the ball into their hands. And if they can get a turnover quickly, then they're in his head already. So I think UCLA defensively is going to come out very aggressive, especially for the defensive backs. I think they're going to try to be aggressive and jump the route, but I think we can take advantage of that. I do think that's an opportunity there for us to run some deep routes and be able to kind of take advantage of that. But I do still think early it's just going to be about getting him in rhythm. And we're going to make sure that every throw that he takes, especially early in this game, is a high percentage throw. We may adjust at halftime. But kind of what I was talking about last week, what we saw from USC, some guy did not like that I said this, but he's like, why? Because I was like, TJ's wasn't ready for that moment, nor should we expect him to be. He's like, why shouldn't we expect him to be? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, because when you're setting stuff up offensively for a pocket quarterback, when you're setting things up with motion and stuff like that, it's different than when you have a mobile quarterback who you're going to set things up with a rolling pocket and you're going to set things up with QB runs. So nothing that we had set up early in the game was ready for him. And you don't have time late in that USC game to chart, okay, all of a sudden we're going to start setting things up. You don't. At that point, it's mitigating risk, right? So we have to try to keep this score, once they tied it up, as close as possible. Once they took the lead, we have to keep this as close as possible. So we can't throw pick sixes. We can't. So it was very safe. And that back shoulder throw, we got to see the zip on his arm. So he has a cannon of an arm, incredible touch. You see it all over. He's not just a running quarterback. I know people talk about the dual threat. He's not just a running quarterback. He can throw the ball very, very well. But I still think at that same time, the throws that we're going to see are very, very high percentage throws. We're going to be getting him rhythm with screens, curls, those type of routes. And then maybe we take some opportunities down the field and maybe we can take advantage of their aggression early. Because, I'm sure Holgorsen knows that they're probably going to try to come out aggressive defensively, especially with their defensive backs. And maybe we can take advantage of that. And if you can drop something over their head early, that opens up a lot more things for TJ. But I think it's going to be outside of that, I think it's going to be very, very safe because I don't think he has to do too much against UCLA. I think it's a team that Nebraska can beat by just getting behind the run. So, Emmett's going to have a day. Like Emmett's going to come out and we're going to be handing the ball to him a lot. It's not like we're going to come out airing it out with TJ, which I think a lot of people understand. Zone reads, QB draws and move in the pocket. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think it's going to look similar to what Michigan tried to do with Alex Orji last year. Once they realized that, like, okay, this man can't push the ball down the field. I'm not saying TJ can't, but if there's no need for him to, why risk that? When you get the pocket rolling, when you get him moving, then you start to see those levels, you start to see those opportunities open up, and it's going to help him read the field a lot better. So moving the pocket is going to be a must in this game, and I think we're going to see a lot of that.
I think you're going to see something quick early just to get him into a rhythm. Yes. It could be really simple hitches. It's going to be, I think, really what we'll see a lot of is you'll have like maybe a receiver on the far side and a receiver on the near side, and they're going to have him roll out kind of like on his first pass attempt to, I think it was Heinrich Harburg, where you're kind of rolling out. You have a receiver in the flat, you have a receiver coming across the formation that's, maybe 5 to 8 yards downfield. Two simple reads. If they're not open, go.